My name is Ida Abeldaño with Aobe. And first of all, yes, I do want to thank you all for the $1,200 stipend. That is a very good start. It's a good starting point. As we mentioned when we met with the budget committee members, we mentioned the different ideas and that have been brought to us by our membership. With that, besides the retention stipend, at the end of this contract year, we talked about another retention stipend in December of 2021. We talked about for the Reading Academy, $1,000 stipend for that, because that has taken a lot of hours from the people who have been participating so far in this Reading Academy. And there was other issues that we talked about on the Academy. So hopefully you would share that with Dr. Gutierrez, as you all had mentioned. We also talked about a high risk and high exposure stipend of $1,000 for those people who are your frontline employees, your nurses, your food service people, things like that, that have a lot of one-on-one interaction with people who are at high risk exposure. So those are the different things that we spoke about, and other concerns that we mentioned about the compensation plan. Like they've mentioned earlier right now, the footnote being removed. That didn't sit well with a lot of people. We pushed really hard to make sure it was on the table, saying that when the teachers got a raise, that they would be included on there.
Thank you all for tuning in, guys. This is the BISD board meeting. They are on public comment. As soon as public comment is over, then we're going to see the board requested items, unless they have, as of so far, been removed. This is Ida Beldano from AOBE. Let's continue listening to her and see who else is going to speak.
Because it's been a year like no other, like they mentioned. They have gone through so much. So we hope that you stop seconds. And that you think about, if I may finish, if you would think about that employee who stayed up late to be able to finish their work and be able to report to work the following day. Think about that employee who had to withdraw money from their retirement plan, their 403B, so they can buy instructional material that they were not provided with. And they didn't think twice about it. Think about that employee that lost their mother, and still, no matter how difficult it was, they were able to report to work because that's how dedicated they are to BISD. All those employees that put all of that behind and put it aside, put all their issues, plus going through a pandemic themselves.
Ma'am, you need to close your statements.
Okay.
We have a long list of signings and 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, sir. So if you can please think about that. It's not about the people just speaking up here. It's all of them. So we really hope that you show them. And I'd like to close with a quote, and I want to quote Dr. Rene Gutierrez, where he said at the ESSER workshop, money is not an issue, and there isn't anything we can't accomplish together. So we hope that you show these employees that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Veronica Borrego. Good evening, Board President Eddie Garcia, BISD board members, and Superintendent Dr. Rene Gutierrez. My name is Veronica Borrego, and I am a proud BISD special education teacher and the proud president of AOBE, the largest and only chartered local in BISD. I am here tonight to speak on raises for BISD employees. This pandemic has been so hard on all employees and the community, emotionally, physically, and financially. We would like to thank the board for considering the 3% increase to the teacher librarian hiring scale. It is long overdue. We believe that there should also be a 5% equity increase in pay for all certified personnel, and a minimum of $1.50 increase in pay for all existing classified staff, which is also long overdue. BISD employees not only need, but deserve this increase in pay. Our employees have and continue to go above and beyond to make our district great. Their loyalty and dedication should be rewarded. Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Let's make BISD employees feel valued. Thank you for your time and attention, and have a wonderful evening.
Our next speaker is Michaela Escabar.
Good evening, President Garcia, Dr. Gutierrez, and members of the board. When I hear all the accomplishments that our students are doing, it makes me very proud to live in Brownsville. But I'm going to ask you one thing. Can we recognize the alumni that have placed Brownsville ISD on the international news? Mr. Bradley Freeman was hired by Sesame Street in January 2021.
Yes.
Just by hearing that he went to a Brownsville ISD school. And I'm going to quote, and this is from an article from Times. As a former student of Brownsville Veterans Memorial Early College High School, he credits various programs within the district, like band, AV, and theater, that helped him develop his skills and further along his career. It makes me so proud, as I mentioned before, that we have someone who represents us, not just here in our southern Texas, but throughout the United States and internationally. He's been interviewed by Times Magazine, ABC, NBC, Saturday Night Live, I mean, to name a few. He will be speaking at Region 1 this Thursday to all superintendents in Region 1. And I really hope we can acknowledge his accomplishment here in Brownsville ISD, and that he can also be a model to all our kids so that they can inspire and know that dreams do come true. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Lilia Ortiz.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lila Ortiz. I am the parent of a BISD high school student, a non-binary top 10 high school BISD student. And the reason I'm here today is to ask the BISD board to create policies that protect the rights of LGBTQ students, and specifically the rights of non-binary and transgender students. Right now we have Title IX, and as you know, Title IX provides a general blanket protection of against discrimination, but they don't address situations that are very specific to non-binary and transgender students. I'm gonna provide your secretary with a copy of an friend of the court brief that was presented to the Supreme Court for a case that was decided last year on August of 2020. This was a case for a student well, the issue is not that the case was decided in favor of the student. What is important for me is that this brief was prepared with the support of 20 leading medical and mental health associations. Those associations include the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Psychiatric Association, the American College of Physicians, the American Medical Association, 20 of them, recognized national associations. And in this brief, it was prepared to inform the Supreme Court about the medical consensus of what being transgender is. They did not discuss whether it is a real thing. They did not discuss whether it's a phase, a fad, something that kids are doing. They just said what it is. And again, we are talking about medical and mental health nationally recognized organizations. This brief also explains the harm to the health and well-being of transgender adolescents when they are excluded from restrooms that match their gender identity, or when they are forced to use segregated facilities. I am asking respectfully that BISD reviews, those that are in charge of policy writing, Title IX, HR, to please review this brief in order to move forward. BISD has been already trying to keep up with the times, and they have already added gender and
30
gender
seconds.
identity. Okay. I'm asking that BISD provide educators and staff with awareness and sensitivity training and very specific guidelines to prevent educators and staff from violating the civil right of students that are transgender, non-binary, or LGBTQ. And that will be it then. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Alberto Alegria.
Oh God. Me marea este vato. Anyway, it's anyway, guys, right now we are going to await the coming on of the board agenda items placed on by the board member, Priscilla Catipton, in regards to where she's going to clarify. What am I not doing right here? She's going to clarify in regards to what board member went out there and tried to encourage Walsh and Gallegos to, hello, Nelda, in order to, yeah, I took them off before. See, what board member was the one that went out there and tried to, to have Walsh and Gallegos, hire on Baltasar Salazar. Again, Denise Garza, guys. I hope she makes mention of the person's name as well she should. Guys, let me tell you, there's nothing to stop Priscilla Catipton from going out there and just saying the truth. If she placed it on the agenda to be spoken on today, very defined, very, very to the point. Congratulations, Priscilla Catipton, in regards to putting that on there. So we're going to hear from them, and we're going to see the discussion. We're going to see Jessica Gonzalez, again, who received thousands of dollars from Baltasar Salazar. Going to see Minerva Peña, who, again, received thousands of dollars from Baltasar Salazar. Drew Brown. And if I am not completely mistaken, it's going to be Denise La Muerta de Hambre Garza, who's going to go out there and, be the fourth vote for Baltasar Salazar. Guys, O'Hanlon will probably be hired as the board attorney, and Baltasar Salazar will be hired as the special education attorney. And again, at a same price, same amount that he was earning last year. Again, very sad situation. If you noticed in the audience of the meeting right now, you saw that we had on there as the Baltasar Salazar sitting at the table, at the attorney's table. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Will Baltasar Salazar be able to speak on his defense in regards to why he is still even considered to be a part of this whole mess? It's going to be interesting. Again, guys, one of the things that we've shared regularly is how blatant these folks are in regards to the disruption, guys. How blatant they are in regards to the corruption, how blatant they are in regards to the disregard to protocol. I mean, there are no RFQs in regards to what the Salazar's hiring. No one else was given the opportunity to apply for the position for special education attorney. So we'll see what happens. Stopping the feed. He makes me sick. That's one of the reasons why I didn't start it with Patrick Hammonds. Patrick Hammonds is a piece of crap. Alberto Alegria también. Me fastidia la vida. Hola, el Jessica Leen. ¿Qué pasó, tío? Saca la cheve. Saludos, papá hermoso. Tú pasa a la oficina. ¿Qué agua? Agua de coco. Guys, hopefully this will be the last person to speak, and then we'll get down to the nitty gritty. I wanted to start a little bit early because I was interested in hearing what AOBE had to say. And again, did a great job. Let's see, have they done?
I promise I'll keep this one short. Good evening, President Garcia, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez, and esteemed guests. My name is Adina Alegria, Executive Director of Texas Valley Educators Association. Isn't it wonderful that we see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, God. I cannot stomach TVEA. I cannot stomach BEST. They are both pathetic. If you are a member of either one of those teacher associations, what the hell are you doing? Really, these folks are so out of touch. They are in the pocket of the board members. So again, why would you want to be out there? Let's see. Wow, these people will never learn. Entre más educación, más things will change. Exactly. Those people, blah 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 blah. 2-8. Let me turn on the YouTube so I could see what's going on our YouTube channel. Again, if I don't see it, I will not follow it. I won't follow what happens on YouTube. There it is. That's where we're at. Perfect. Again, if I don't see it, I forgot that I'd raised the volume because I was listening to music. Guys, we're almost there, guys. Please be patient. It's almost up. Good evening, good evening, good evening, Marco. Again, it's going to be a circus, guys. If you happen to be listening to us and are on BISD's YouTube feed, thumbs down that sucker. If you're on my my YouTube feed, like that sucker, guys, please. Good evening, Ilda. Good evening. Good evening. In this corner, Prissy Roca Tipton. In this corner, Baltasar Salazar. See what happens. It's kind of a trippy thing how even little Eddie has kind of folded to the matter, guys. Let's see if they're done.
Our next item is Roman numeral 8, recommend approving the consent agenda. The board has agreed to discuss the following items. All of the items below that are not called out be approved by consent. Under section A, items 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 15, 16, 17,
Dang.
18,
Dang.
20, and 21. Under B, payments, item 12. Under D, contracts and agreements, items 2, 4, 5, 6, 9. And under E, item 1.
Damn. I ain't gonna stay for all those.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have first and a second, Ms. Pat.
That's a lot of items that you're going to discuss, little Eddie. Why can't y'all get your stuff together?
Motion passes 7-0 unanimous. Under board member requests, item 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to recommend awarding RFQ 21-131 board legal advisor services to the number 2 ranked law firm O'Hanlon, Demarath, and Castillo Attorneys at Law pursuant to the RFQ, which includes special education legal
It's
services.
gonna be interesting.
The number 1 ranked law firm, Walsh, Gallegos, Trevino, Russo, and Kyle PC, declined any and all considerations to provide legal services to the Brownsville Independent School District and Board of Trustees based on select board member requests to exclude special education legal services from their contract. For transparency purposes, the proposed exclusion of special education services was not stipulated in the original RFQ 21-131 process or full board discussion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second, and Ms. Drew.
There's a lot in this agenda item. I want, and there's some really interesting things in that. It's excellent, and it deals solely with working with the school district attorney, hiring an attorney, and whether that's a solo practitioner or a law firm. And I'm going to read a couple of quotes. Competitive procurement is not required when hiring an attorney because it is a professional service. It goes on to say a district may procure the services of an attorney or a law firm by any means the board deems appropriate. And to ensure that the district is getting the best value and a well-qualified attorney, the board should use some process, but it can be an informal or formal process. And what's really neat about this 15-page document is that TASB outlines a whole process, including interview questions and things in it. It's really, I think, something that I wish we had used when we went through this process. And for that reason, Mr. President, I move that the board award RFQ 21-131 Board Legal Advisory Services to the O'Hanlon, Demarest, and Castillo attorneys at law at a flat rate of $240,000 a year or $20,000 a month, and that special education legal services be awarded to Baltazar Salazar, attorney at large, at a flat rate of $60,000 a year or $5,000 a year, for a grand total of $300,000 a year for legal advisory services for BISD.
$300,000 a year.
Mr. President,
Go
there was a
ahead.
motion and a second already on the floor.
That's what I was gonna say. That's okay. Anyone else?
Question?
We have a first and a second, so, no, on the initial. And
No motion placed by Dr.
Yes.
Tipton. When?
she made a motion to approve. I made a second, then I called on you, and, so we can vote on it. If it fails, we can
Okay.
move on to, you can make another motion. So there was an initial motion made.
Question?
Go ahead,
I
Ms. Peña.
I just kind of want to, if I heard right, because of the detail. And then when she made a statement of 240 for the O'Hanlon law firm, or 20,000 a month, and then 60,000 a year for special education, or 5,000 a year. Did you mean to say a month instead of a year? Okay, so you want to correct, it wasn't a year, you meant 5,000 a month? Like the 20,000, okay, I just want you to correct that because I heard that, oh man, that's a good deal, no offense. Sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Tipton.
Just let the record reflect, Ms. Peña, that was Drew's motion. That wasn't my
That's
motion.
why I was asking Drew directly, ma'am, because
No,
it
no,
was
no,
Drew's
yes.
motion.
Okay,
I
so,
misspoke in my
so-
motion.
yes.
I never said it was yours.
Okay, go ahead. We have a first and a second.
Can I,
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
thank you. I just want something to go on record from my clear conscience. I want the record to show that the law firm of Walsh Gallegos did not, and I'm going to repeat, did not, quote, decline any and all considerations to provide legal services to BISD, end quote. They came in good faith twice in one day, but it's unfortunate we couldn't come to an agreement. And to say, quote, select board members' request to exclude special education legal services from their contract, end quote. As a reminder, that's how negotiations work. You add stuff, you
No,
take away stuff.
Not true.
See how prices change.
Snaggletooth, you're
So,
lying.
like, it concerns me that the word transparency gets thrown around like it's nothing, and the way the item is
You got
worded,
$2,500 from Salazar.
it's not correct. It is just not correct, and I
You're a
hate to
liar.
say it, but I'm going to, and it's based on lies.
Oh, Prissy, she
I
called
just
you a
want that
liar.
to go on
Dr.
record.
Tipton.
Yes. I just wanna, that was if they didn't decline any and all, we would have been notified. But I was notified that they didn't want to have any sort of, they didn't want to move forward in the negotiations, and they actually withdrew the RFP. But today, we also, added to the back, I'm trying to switch and talk and hold the mic. Today, we also added to the backup,
Well,
86H, which is attachment A1, and I understood and I hear everybody's concerns. Again, this was a very fair and transparent process, but in attachment A1, it clearly states there, legal services will include the following matters, and that included special education,
Yes.
parliamentary procedure, election law advice, school board elections, state and federal court litigations, board meeting attendance. Now, attachment 2 did mention it may, so I don't believe that this was
should have been part of any negotiations, because in the original RFQ, the attachment A1 did state all these services will be included.
100%.
And we were never, no one was ever, the full board was never made aware of this exclusion, other than just when I found out that they had withdrew the RFP.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. Ms. Pat?
Wait till this, if there's no more discussion. They're voting on granting O'Hanlon. Oh!
Motion carries, 3 yes, 4 no.
¡Oh! Denise, la muerta de hambre, turn down them.
May I make my motion again?
Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Okay, and I'll make sure I say it correctly this time. I move that the board award RFQ 21-131 Board Legal Advisory Services to the O'Hanlon, Damroth, and Castillo attorneys at law at a flat rate of $240,000 a year, or $20,000 a month, and that special education legal services be awarded to Baltazar Salazar, attorney at law, at a flat rate of $60,000 a year, or $5,000 a month, for a total of $300,000 per year for our legal services.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Ms. Daniela Lopez?
Yes, I would just like to state that our RFQ process was a very fair process, and I believe that it is essential that we continue to follow the RFQ process that we agreed to on our board workshop on May 13th in order to remain transparent and fair to our community and ultimately make the best decision for our district. We agreed and voted on May 18th with 6 votes for Walsh Anderson due to the negotiations that unfortunately not all board members were part of. I believe that the special ed wanting to take it out was decided amongst only a few. So if you go back to the RFQ process, again, I agree with Dr. Tipton on attachment 1A. Special education is number 1. I believe, like I said, from transparency purposes, it's important that we follow this process because it is what we did agree to and we did discuss as a board. And we did have the opportunity to change it. The first advertisement was in the paper since January 24th. We had the second advertisement on January 31st. We went out to market on February 1st, submission on February 23rd. I can go on, and basically we had all of this time. So I do believe that it is important that we do remain transparent by hiring O'Hanlon for all services on attachment A1 and A2.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
Again, I'll go back to the TASB document, which I think outlines a process, including interview questions, that was very well done. I will remind colleagues that the very first time we met to discuss this process, if you recall, the very first initial meeting held in this room when we were discussing how we were going to handle this, at that point, I told you, I said that I thought the process was flawed, biased, and tainted. Tainted was the word I used. And I called it out immediately at the beginning, and that was ignored. We proceeded on, and I think
it's black and white. That's what it is, black and white.
And again, I go back to what TASB says, which is a district may procure the services of an attorney or a law firm by any means the board deems appropriate. We were told that was the process. Upon further research, I realized that was a process that was created we didn't really have to have your research before. We could have had more input on the process, and I wish now I had been more stringent in my comments that first time, because I thought there were flaws in the process. I stand by my motion.
Before we move on, let me remind that, yes, we were aware that we did not have to go for RFQs. We decided as a board for transparency to go ahead and move forward and do this, being that it had not been done for the past 8 years.
Perfect.
And like A1 says, it was to include everything, including
Special ed,
special education.
100%.
Now, if that is going to be carved out, being that then that is not going to be part of board legal services, then that should be referred and sent out for RFQs.
Exactly.
Because again, that is not going to be the only ones that we can hire.
Exactly.
Is the superintendent and board legal services.
Yes.
So that's where I stand on that. We have a first and a second, unless anyone else has something to say.
Denise La Muerta de
Ms.
Hambre.
Pat?
Please vote.
Oh, it's going to O'Hanlon and Baltasar Salazar. 4-3. 4-3. Oh!
Motion passes
Ah!
4 yes, 3 no.
Oh my gosh!
And one last note is part of the process that was decided was to try to save some of the monies that were
Nothing.
being spent. Ms. Pat?
Item 2. Do we need to do?
You don't need item 2. You already hired him.
Go ahead, Ms. Peña.
Since it was included in item 1, at this point in time, I think it's like obsolete for me to put this. So if it's okay with you, gentlemen, ladies, and gentlemen, yes, there's 2. Sorry, there's 2. I'll go ahead and if I may, this item be pulled because it was included in item 1. So I want that to stand if everyone's okay with it. I will pull my item.
That's fine.
Item 5, recommend to purchase Apex Suite 260 to implement a social emotional curriculum for all BSD secondary students in grades 6 through 12 in the 2021-2022 school year.
My gosh, my gosh. Jimmy! What just happened, man?
Wow.
As a former board president, former board member, Jimmy, what's your take?
I want to clarify. I want to clarify if this is right. That they voted on keeping both of them?
Yes.
What was the first motion?
The first motion was to hire O'Hanlon for the full contract.
Oh.
That failed 4-3. Again, Baltasar Salazar got his votes. And I told people, no se confíen. Baltasar Salazar is a snake. Baltasar Salazar will do everything he can to remain on the payroll. He sure did. So what they did, they turned over Denise Garza onto their side, and they got their 4 votes. So the motion failed to hire O'Hanlon completely. I honestly, and I'm glad that Prissy, mentioned what she mentioned. I'm glad Daniela mentioned what she mentioned. I'm glad Eddie mentioned what he mentioned. With that said, they didn't put up a fight.
Right.
They should have stood their ground, said this is illegal. We didn't go out for an RFQ. We didn't go out there and advertise the job for special education attorney. They did not. They hired Baltasar Salazar because Baltasar Salazar gave money to Jessica Snaggletooth Gonzalez, la Denise Muerta de Hambre Garza. That's simple. He bought his votes. And with what votes, they can do anything that they want.
So they're paying him $60,000 a year?
They're going to pay him $60,000 a year.
For how many special ed cases a year?
Zero or 1.
Wow.
Which then he subcontracts.
Wow.
But he still remains the most powerful individual in the district.
Wow.
Nothing has changed. And it really trips me out, Jimmy, because one of little Eddie's big stance was, we're going to save money. We're going to save money. We're going to save money. They're not saving money. And they still have Baltasar Salazar in there.
I don't understand. I mean, Walsh Gallegos being one of the best, attorneys in the nation, with school law. When it comes to school law, it's like, and I saw the meeting where Walsh brought their special education attorney to the meeting, right? To tell them, hey, this is our special education guru, and still like that. I mean, if that doesn't make it any obvious, I don't know what will. Like I don't know what people need to see after this. It's just wow.
Well, it's just so blatant. One of the things that I think a lot of people, take into account is that, no, pues Sylvia's gone. Sylvia was just one head. Corruption is still on the BISD board. And anyone out there that does not believe it, we just showed the tape. It's right there. Blatant disregard for process. Blatant disregard for taxpayer money. Blatant disregard to protocol, procedure. They don't care. They can do whatever they want. What can the public do if the board keeps violating policy? TA needs to be looked at this. Again, one of the things that people could do is, file complaints to TA. I mean, they're going to have to be placed in the back burner because there are so many against the district right now as it is. It's never going to stop. Little Eddie, Prissy, and Daniela voted no. Jessica, Denise, Minerva, and Drew voted yes. Cheap skags. Well, Jessica got bought. Balta Salazar gave her $2,500. That's in check, guys. We're not talking about how much she gave her in cash. I mean, that was a very expensive Olive Garden meal. Denise La Muerta de Hambre, I told you guys. I told you she was going to fold. All Baltasar Salazar had to do was throw her a couple of $10,000 out there. She bent over. Minerva La Pingüina Peña, guys, Baltasar Salazar is all over her finance report. Paid for a vote. And Drew's still loyal to Sylvia. And as long as Baltasar Salazar is there, Sylvia's going to be okay. Jimmy, is this what y'all would have done on the board if you had been on the board?
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm stunned. I can't believe what I just saw. It's wow. Especially again knowing, right? Like we just hired Walsh, and it's not saying that I don't know, like I'm lost for words.
It's again
blatant. It happened so perfectly, right? They hired them. It was a gift perfectly wrapped with a bow. Like here is a firm that's going to represent BISD at this rate without having to outsource. But we want to outsource, right? According to a board member, we want to outsource, and the board member got what they wanted. For in this case, the board members got what they wanted. Wow.
Embarrassing. But this is Brownsville. This is the corruption that exists here, guys. And again, folks, for anyone that out there saying, "Oh, Erasmo's just being negative," do you need more proof? Honestly, there's 32 people on YouTube, 120 some people on. Guys, do you all still think that I'm being negative? The video's right there. Blatant corruption, guys. I've warned you about Baltasar Salazar. I told you about Jessica Snaggletooth Gonzalez. We already told you about Minerva La Pingüina Peña, guys. Now Denise La Muerta de Hambre Garza. Getting paid, bros. Banking that money, man. Banking that money. And Baltasar Salazar goes nowhere. Still collects a check from you, the people of Brownsville. Embarrassing. Cute puppies. Isn't it crazy?
Like I tell you, I mean, What more do you all need to see, right? Like, it's right there.
It's just right there. Jeremy, we're gonna sign off. You want to come back with us at 9:00? When I try, if you can make it.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let you know right before.
I'll send you a link anyway. Thanks for coming on.
No
Again,
problem.
Qué vergüenza. Vergüenza para la ciudad de Bronzeville. Jeremy moved to Brownsville. Guys, have a great evening. I'll see you back. We'll see you back in an hour, 9:00. I'm gonna go pick up some food. Guys, have a great evening. See you in a little bit.
Bye.
There it is. Oops, there it is. Bye, guys.